Hi guys, Bomber here. Welcome back to the channel, and today, after the patch 1.12 got released, or maybe it was 11, yeah, I guess it's 11, and yeah, with the Bastion update, the buff, quite a big buff, now we see new versions of Lee Sin and Zed, as well as Bastion. So without further ado, let's take a look at the deck list, and then I will talk about the changes and stuff in the deck analysis. Yeah, basically Bastion went from give an ally spell shield this round, to grant an ally +1/+1 and spell shield. So this has a double implication. The first one is that obviously the spell shield is permanent, and this won't matter most of the times, but then the grant an ally +1/+1 comes into play, and it is a very big... also, by the way, I'm now noticing that there is not a slash between the +1 and the other +1, but yeah, anyway. so this says basically grant an ally +2. So yeah, with grant an ally +1/+1, this can also act like a combat trick, in the sense that the spell shield gives you protection on the removal, like spell, obviously, part of the removal of some kind of champions or whatever. Instead, the +1/+1 gives you protection through combat, basically as if it was a barrier plus a spell shield. Obviously, the barrier is a 0 damage, basically you reduce the damage to 0 for that point of damage that you're taking. But the +1/+1 is only, it saves your unit only if you are 1 off for it to be saved, basically. So, for example, if a 2 attack units attacks your 2 health unit, then if you have the +1/+1, then your unit will be saved. But it is just crucial that it may seem too little of a buff, but in most of the cases your opponent will be doing like exactly the trade that they are gonna need. So the +1/+1 will actively save your unit from removal through combat. Like, for example, imagine a fleet feeder tracker attacking your Zed, for example, and that's an like equal trade. So if you like an exact trade, a 2 attack on a 2 health unit, if you get the +1/+1 on Zed, then in just a moment you saved it from removal through combat. And also, if your opponent wants to commit another removal spell, then you have the spell shield, which is granted, so you can't even complete the trade the turn after, and this is very, very important. So actually the +1/+1 part is more important now that the spell shield is permanent, so that this can act both as obviously the use that it was used before, so like to counter a removal spell, and now it can also act like a removal, protection from removal through combat, and also give you the added benefit of giving it an immunity to spells. So yeah, very, very strong, and this of course is very, very strong with Zed, and this is the reason why that now we see Lee Sin with Zed, because Zed is very, very a strong champion for sure, but it is quite fragile. So most of the time Zed is not meta, because if Piltover is a thing, then you will have a lot of mystic shots, and then basically Zed is most of the time just as a -1 mana, and so yeah, obviously Zed is just traded so easily with everything, and is only strong when you are attacking with it if they don't have a spell to remove it, like Mystic Shot. But of course, you see here the dots connecting, if they don't have a spell, or if they can't remove it through a spell. So this is why Bastion is very, very strong with Zed. You want to cast the Bastion most of the times on Zed, but of course it can obviously be casted on Lee Sin. The additional 1 point of attack will like make him closer to getting to 10 attack, and then when he is leveled up, you basically OTK your opponent with a 20 point of damage combo, thanks to Zenith Blade. I will talk about that later for newer players which are not familiar with this concept, but so yeah, Bastion is very, very strong, and now we see why you want to shift toward the Zed, like strategy. Since you're running Zed, then this deck in just a second just wants to be aggro, instead of the other, like people have started experimenting with Lee Sin on the 1.10 patch, when they buffed obviously Lee Sin, they reworked him, but it was a buff, a pretty insane buff. And so yeah, they started experimenting with it, and at first it was more like a mid-range combo style of deck. Then they went more towards the control combo side of deck, which had like things like Steel Tempest or like Concussive Palm, all stuff like that. But now this deck suddenly wants to be aggro, because with the Zed and Bastion also works very well with Lee Sin, but it works more amazingly well with Zed. So now suddenly you want to run Zed and you want this deck to be aggro in just a moment, because obviously also Zed likes all the granting buffs that Targon has, like Zenith Blade is also very strong on Zed. For example, you can start a game with a Zed on Zenith Blade the next turn when you Daybreak on it, so you draw the other one, so that later on if you draw the Lee Sin, then you will have the Lee Sin and the Zenith Blade, which is your main combo. But you can start pretty aggressively with Zed as well, and that early on pressure can give you a very good matchup against other aggro strategies, which are pretty much crushed against this deck. And if you are in the control like matchup, you can win just by the aggro strategy, but if they actually manage to survive, then you can finish things off with Lee Sin, and Bastion comes into play more into that matchup, because you can have an answer to those removals, spells that they're gonna have. Then the game plan is as like leaving aside the fact that this is suddenly aggro, so you want to have a Gift Giver, which was also run because of gems, as well as Mentor of the Stones, which was also previously run because of the gems, and the +2/+2 on most of the times Lee Sin. Also, this is a very aggressive tool, but now yeah, you just want to run as well the Close of the Dragon, which most of the time was not run instead of Eye of the Dragon, which is still pretty strong on even an aggro strategy, because if you look at it, it's a lot of stats that the Eye of the Dragon is putting on board, and it can give you an easier matchup against aggro for sure. Then yeah, per Cascade, Sonic Wave, which in previous like versions of this deck it was not run, but now you suddenly want to have it, because giving Challenger to Zed, which also has quick attack, makes him basically a removal, and then the +2 attack can be used on Zed as well to make him a stronger removal, or it can be used to, like for example, most of the times you want to cast it on Mentor of the Stones, because Mentor of the Stones on himself is not a very good body, but if you give it a +2 attack, this becomes a 3/1, and they will still wanna trade with him, but then you can gain an advantage by also taking one of their own bodies by giving it the 3/1 stat line, which is very strong. Solari Priestess, most of the times if you need a removal against mid-range or control decks, so for example stuff like Falling Comet or Meteor Shower, I think that's the name, or as well as Written in the Stars, the 4 mana spell which draws you a champion, and it's very strong to get your win condition, which are basically Zed or more importantly Lee Sin. Then Spirit's Refuge, because it is a very strong tool, and against burn or aggro strategies most of the times can win you the game alone. If you cast this on a Zed or leveled up, or a Lee Sin leveled up, then this is basically a full heal to 20 and basically winning you the game on those type of matchups. And then Deep Meditation, which is also very strong to get your Zenith Blade, Bastion, and all your strong spells that you need to level up the Lee Sin and to win the game because of their strengths. So yeah, that's it for the deck analysis, but let's jump into a game to see this deck in action. So yeah, we are up against Mr. Strangers, which is running a Trundle Aurelion Soul deck on Fragile and Targon. So this is pretty much the definition of a control deck. So now we want to rush him down, basically, and then we also like the Lee Sin option here. Sonic Wave is kind of a cheap way to get both Clouds of the Dragons out, but we need a body to cast it on first, so that then the Clouds of the Dragons will be played. But I kind of like this end, and I'm pretty confident that we will draw a body by turn 3, which we do, which is a pretty bad body, but still. Also, we are attacking on even turns, which we kinda don't like, so we kinda have to first play the Solari Priestess on turn 3, and then we have to do the combo of Sonic Wave to summon the Close of the Dragons and put pressure. Also, I kinda like the Mentor of the Stones, because as I said in the intro, you want to Mentor of the Stones, so you give it Sonic Wave, so Challenger and then +2/+0, so this becomes pretty much like a removal, and then you can also buff the Close of the Dragons. Or we might go for Lee Sin, we give Sonic Wave, I don't know. We kinda want to go Mentor of the Stones, then next turn Lee Sin.
Bad for the teeth, though.
Lee Lee Sin is gonna get Challenger on its own with the Sonic Wave. Let's see what he plays first, and then we will adjust accordingly. Like, we want always to play Lee Sin first, so then let's see what he does, and then we will plan accordingly. So you see, like in those kind of matchups, Spirit's Refuge is kinda useless unless they are trying to remove your Lee Sin, and then the barrier part, like with pure damage spells, like Avalanche in this case, and that's the only one basically. Also, we have to watch out for Ash. So you see, like a preemptive Bastion on Lee Sin can help you against his Ash. So Rally Priestess, we kind of don't want to play her now because we have already 2 Lee Sins on our hand. But then maybe later on, if both our Lee Sins die. So now we have a very, very strong turn. Like, we might as well challenge the Omen Oak with the Mentor of the Stones, because we kind of want to make him die anyway. And I am expecting, or maybe we just like, what do we do about this? We probably want to give Challenger to Mentor of the Stones and trade the Omen Oak, and give +2/+0 on Lee Sin, which will get also the +2/+2 from Mentor of the Stones, and we'll trade the 3/6 at this point. And then the other 3/2 will just get which I kinda like.
Conflict is all in the mind. Ying Yue, you've been in my thoughts.
Only
so we do something like this.
Enter your
both are gonna be traded, and then we deal 6 damage, which is kind of strong move. Yeah, he doesn't have answers. He could have an Avalanche, but we still have a pretty buffed Lee Sin. And even if he goes for the Avalanche, you see that I'm playing around Avalanche so that the Mentor of the Stones would have died anyway. So yeah, it was worth it to trade at least with a blocker to get more damage in. So now you see that now we are kind of forcing him to go into Star Shading, which is kind of a dead move by Sparta. The 7+ cost Celestials won't come down in 3 more turns, 2 from now. So yeah, also the Zenith Blade, so we are already kind of close to level up Lee Sin and basically win the game. So we kind of want to go for Zenith Blade right now. Okay, so this got a buff from the Omen Oak, so it's also kind of strange to play Omen Oak in this kind of decks. I get it that the meta is pretty, how can I say it, pretty like fast right now, so yeah, we don't care about the full damage. But the Omen Oak is in non-aggressive decks kind of won't have, like, because the +1/+1 on 2 bodies that you probably won't throw because you're a spell heavy deck won't probably matter a lot. So how do we go about this? We have 5 spells in hand, so we can already level up the Lee Sin, and this is already the... we can get the full 10 damage combo, so yeah, let's go for it.
I will not hold back. Conflict is all
so yeah, this also has barrier. This does not have spell shield, unfortunately, but doesn't really matter.
Our enemy.
So yeah, it doesn't matter where we give the Challenger to. Now this will level up, and this will be a 12, so 12 now.
The dragon spirit awakens.
Damage if he has an answer to Lee Sin, like with the Ash, then we still deal 9 damage in. So yeah, probably we should have gotten the +2/+0 attack on those other units. That was a bit of an overkill from my part. But yeah, I don't guess. I guess that he does not have Ash. Okay, getting touch one savior. So he's probably searching for Ash. This is more for the draw. Yeah. We went a bit overkill on him. So yeah, that's the full potential. That's the final combo that we want to achieve with this deck. Well played, good game, man. So yeah, you saw that our opponent didn't really have a chance. Like, it was not really reactive, but that's probably the strength of the deck, that your opponent can't really react too much to your strategy. It has to have 2 removals in a row, and you don't have, or maybe you have, they have to have 2 removals in a row when you have Bastion, or they have to remove it when you don't have Bastion, which is not so common. And yeah, so this deck is probably only weak to Ashe, but if you're not on a Targon mirror match, then you are good to go. And it is very, very strong and very, very fast, as you've seen in the game that we played. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you liked it and find it useful, and as always, see ya.